So today we are working with some just standard steel, some 1084, some plain, nice and easy to use carbon steel. So no super steels or anything fancy. So 964 Celsius. Target temp, about 950. So we're probably a little over that. Nice fun little bit, this one. So the thinner your material, the quicker it's going to heat up. It's an unhardened piece of steel. It could be the equivalent of mild steel right now. It's unhardened, so you can pretty much do whatever you like with it. The hardening part and the making of the knife all comes in the quench.
So essentially a blank canvas.
Yep, blank canvas. So 1084s are quite an easy steel for a beginner. It's very hard to mess up. It's very forgiving compared to some of the super steels I've worked with, like Wootz Crucible steel. Very shallow heat range, maybe 100 degrees either side. It's stiffened straight up under the hammer and then back in the fire. So this is a very nice beginner-friendly steel. So we're getting there. If we're forging and a crack develops in, say, like the front third of the blade, a knife maker's expression is, we don't make mistakes, we make smaller knives.
So is there anything to like the how you're like lifting it up between each hit? Like, is there anything to that?
So yeah, with kisage there is. So you're lifting it up away from the steam jacket, which has just gone in front of it. The steam jacket, when you put it down and you hit it in that water, that steam jacket's coming out the sides and just blowing all of that scale off. So there's no need to brush it. But the problem is, it sticks to your anvil face. So you've got to give it a bit of a wipe down, or else you're going to forge scale into your work in the future. At times, you might see me change the way I'm hammering. I might go up the handle for more of a planishing strike, or more of a forging strike down the tip of the hammer. The handle of the hammer. Because here in blacksmithing and bladesmithing, I'm going to get called out for it because I'm fucking guilty for it, but we're not forging here from the forearm, we're forging from the shoulder. So when you're throwing your hammer, I've got a light above me, but you're throwing it with your shoulder. And that's how you have longevity in blacksmithing and bladesmithing. Because if you're just forging with your forearm, you're going to end up with tennis elbow. Throw it in there for the fanboys out there. If you are tuning to the Forge Cast, which is a podcast for blacksmiths and bladesmiths and hobbyists all together, there's plenty of episodes where they actually get a doctor on to talk about stretches and stuff that you should do before you go into your forge, so you can have the most longevity in your forge.
have we any idea of what the final product is going to be yet?
The final product. So we have the little one will probably be sent off to regional Victoria as a farming / skinning knife. Not going to be bigger than 4 inches total. So about 10 centimeters is going to be the entire length. It is going to be a little knife for those little jobs. And the other one we have here, I'm thinking some form of santoku, bunker, chef's knife. We'll see where we go when we're forging the tip. This is one of those, I'm going to play it by eye, and if it starts going into like a bunker or a santoku, I'm just going to let it.
I take it forging is a lot more art than science.
Yes, it's a lot of art, but this is a lot of science. So I've moved away from doing everything by eye. I want to know the definitive numbers I'm putting out. So right now we have 980 Celsius. So if we wanted to bring something up to its critical temperature for quenching, we're actually about 180 degrees too high. It comes in very handy if you own a kiln. So it's kind of like the making and the forging of a knife is more art, and that's where you get to show your artistic side. There's a lot of other people who don't want to show an artistic side, and it's just straight up science. There's a point you got to heat to, which is a number. You get a point which is an annealing point, which is another number. So you've got 5 different numbers. You hit all of your numbers, you go straight into the quench, and then you do your annealing cycle, which is 2 hours at 200 Celsius or whatever your steel recommends, and then your final product. The forging is very much the artistical aspect of it. And then the rest of it is kind of science and numbers. Come on, you can do it. Almost lost it after first swing. Only been going for a couple of hours and nearly have our tang isolated. Come on. No. Fine. Don't want to play ball.
The difference between your forge and your furnace,
Yep.
is that just heat, or is there like other like fundamentals to it?
So a furnace has generally an open top where you can place in a crucible. Some forges are large enough where you can do that, but predominantly you do not want to mix alloys and non-ferrous metals in a forge. There is the exception of making stuff like kumai and brahmai or whatever you want to do, but putting in non-ferrous elements, it could leak all over the forge floor, and then you've got contaminants for whatever you're forging in the future. And that can be a huge item and a huge issue to the point where you could smash out all your refractory and have to completely rebuild your forge because of it. It's almost like cooking's contamination issues. Most hammers have pins. So this is a horizontal peen hammer. So what I was doing when I was peening that section, I'm actually widening it. So depends on where you peen and in what orientation. You can go horizontally or you can go lengthways, which will lengthen your material in what way you want, that way or that way. If you get a rounding hammer, which is a bit more round, when you hit your item, it's going in 360 degrees. So it's moving all of that material in 360 degrees. Compared to a peen, where you hit it, it's only moving in that 180 degrees, 90 degrees. So far, so good. It's only taken 1,000 hours to get here, but we have pretty much isolated our tang, which is fantastic. The general gist is if a blacksmith or knife maker's on stream and they drop their piece out of their tongs and onto the floor, it's called dropped forge and everyone's meant to drink. It's also a way of enticing blacksmiths and bladesmiths to stay hydrated in their forge because it gets very, very hot in here. So what, we're sitting at 31 Celsius, so what, that looks about 87 Fahrenheit. Probably now if you're ready. Type of thing. We'll profile the tip of the blade and then I'll do the bevel forging off camera, which isn't so thrilling. Essentially all I'm doing when I'm forging the bevels, I'm making the blade a little longer and thinning out that edge portion. Nothing to it. You can forge out your bar and draw, or you can completely forge it from your brain to steel. Sometimes I like to do a bit of both. We've got 2 projects halfway through now. So we've got a small little hunting knife to finish off and send off to a piggery. And then we have a vegetable, almost fish-style Deba. But it's definitely for vegetables, this one. So both of these knives are made out of 1084 high carbon steel. So if you have any questions for me, you can find me at AJF Metalworks on Facebook, Instagram, wherever else. You can find me, Twitch, TikTok. If you want to email me, you can email me at ajfmetalworks@outlook.com. Hit me up with any questions you have for any knife making related things. And I'll see you fellas on the next one. Take it easy.